Good evening, everybody. Today is Wednesday, April 28th of 2021. I'd like to call the Redevelopment Commission meeting to order. And I'd like to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, if you all would. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call. Mr. Damon Gassaway.
Present.
J.T. McDermott.
Present.
Betsy Parkinson.
Present.
Myself, Brian Shalleck, is here. And Jenna Francisconi, I was told, is not going to make it, so one absent. Public comment. Any public comment? No public comment? Nobody likes us. They don't like to say, "Guy, how good we're doing." Public comment is closed. It happens every week or every month. You notice that? Minutes. Has everybody had a chance to look at the minutes from last meeting?
Yep.
Any changes or anything you want to insert or anything? Looks good.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the March 31st, 2021 regular meeting.
I will second
I
that.
have a motion and a second. Any discussion? None? All in favor state by saying aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Minutes are passed. Claims docket. This is probably the lightest claims docket I think we've ever seen.
Yeah.
Won't be much discussion about these. Everybody had a chance to look at the claims?
Yes.
Any problems with them? Questions, remarks?
I have a question.
Sure.
Do we know what the $72 in reimbursable expenses are?
I do not. Nick, that would be on geosynthetic.
The geosyntec invoice,
Yeah,
that's come up, the universal charge of $72.
I can find out.
probably a coffee.
No, we've had geosyntec down here a few times, so it could have been associated with that. I'll find out.
You would. You okay with that? He lets after he finds out?
Actually, it's for a CAD operator.
That's a CAD operator.
Watkins,
What?
for $72.
I didn't bring it, I looked at the car. What did
Yeah,
it
if
say?
you look at the last page, it's a CAD operator expense.
Yeah, it looks like a
Oh,
Okay.
charge for drawings.
Yeah.
yeah, I see that.
You see that, JT, on the last page?
I do, yeah.
Yeah.
It looks like it just went on the wrong line then, which, if you remember, normally we've got that communication fee in the professional service line item, and that's when they have, that pays for things like, in the grand scheme of things, AutoCAD licenses, and it's just a accounting thing that a lot of professional services firms do. But maybe we're not paying that on this one now that it's in the wrong line, so. They have been working on CAD drafting for us, and that's what it listed as, so it would be,
Well, telecommunications charge is still on there, the 3%.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'll never forget those.
Yeah. They're called different things with different
Yeah.
firms. Every firm calls them something.
3% of the bill.
Yep. A technology charge they'll call it, or they'll do, yeah. But yeah, as Tom handed me this, and this would be consistent with the work they're doing.
Okay. You okay, JT?
Yes.
I need a motion to pass.
I'll make a
Claims.
motion to pass the claims docket.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Claims docket passes. Old business, approve and execute transfer resolution. What would that be? Is that you?
Matt, do you want to,
You.
No, that's probably a Courtney issue.
Courtney issue?
Where is it?
I have my copy.
Yeah. What do we got?
It doesn't come from RDC.
It wasn't in the packet.
it should be in the packet.
I don't have it. I don't have it.
All right, well, that's,
That what?
If someone wants to read it, and then I can explain.
sorry about that.
That's one that we missed, yeah.
You want me to read it or no?
Yeah,
Okay.
short.
Yep. I'm gonna take this off so you can hear me.
Give Matt the short ones.
Yeah, exactly. Resolution to transfer funds within the 2021 Redevelopment Commission budget, whereas there are additional monies needed in certain line items in the 2021 budget in order to pay for essential services and obligations, now therefore be it, and it is hereby resolved by the Redevelopment Commission of the City of LaPorte, Indiana, that the following transfers be made within the following budget for the year 2021. TIF 4, Town Square, is that an account number? 411-701-XXX from 421.001 infrastructure to 315 professional services, $550,000, passed and adopted this blank day of blank 2021, City of LaPorte Redevelopment Commission.
Right, yeah.
If I can just
Sure.
explain real quick.
Come on up.
Thank you. Oops.
I think I remember this now.
You should
We didn't get this. I do remember it, actually. This is-
So, as you recall, in, I believe, March, the Redevelopment Commission approved the additional appropriation for the Rural King payment. That was appropriated at that time into infrastructure. At the time, we thought that we were able, that the Redevelopment Commission was going to directly pay Rural King. We've since had a grant agreement between GLEDC and the RDC. So there's a little bit of a pass-through there, which allows us to follow legal requirements. So this is just putting the funds into a different appropriation. It's putting it into professional services, and we will then pay out GLEDC.
Very good.
And GLEDC will pay Rural King.
So we're just shifting money around.
We're
We
shifting
are,
money
yep.
around.
Yes.
We talked
For your
about it last
approval,
month,
we're shifting money around, correct.
actually. Right.
Thank you.
Okay. I don't think we need anything from Bert on this, do we? Just to actually, to do the transfer.
Right. This-
I do need a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve and execute transfer resolution.
And you have a second?
I will second.
A motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor of executing and transferring above, approve and execute the transfer resolutions, state by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? It's passed, Courtney. Thank you. B, approve and execute Rural King reimbursement, i.e. this thing. Bert, that's you.
Yeah, good evening to the Redevelopment Commission. Bert Cook, Executive Director of the LaPorte Economic Advancement Partnership. So piggybacking on what Courtney, the action you just took and what Courtney just explained, GLEDC, the Greater LaPorte Economic Development Corporation, is requesting funding pursuant to Section 12.2A 25B of the Redevelopment Act. The $550,000 grant is being requested to contribute funds to the Rural King parking lot reconstruction and improvements. Based on invoices submitted to the Redevelopment Commission, you should have those in your packet. Rural King has paid the amount of $656,169.30. We have both the invoices and the copy of their cleared check. And so they have made their required investments in the parking lot and landscaping. Based on our review of that information, Rural King is now entitled to the $550,000 grant amount. We'd ask that you process that. GLEDC will deposit the check and then pay Rural King accordingly.
Any questions?
I have have a question. It's not directly reflected to that, but in the packet, it referred to a $200,000 annual payment for bonus. What? I wasn't here on the committee when that was.
So that is a separate agreement between Rural King and the Urban Enterprise Association. And so they have performance items specific to the parking lot that is dealt with the Redevelopment Commission. And then they have performance items with the Urban Enterprise Association that deals with their investments in the building, the structure, not just Rural King's portion of the building, but the entirety of the building, as well as performance items that had to do with when they opened the store. And so that part of the agreement is handled between the UEA and Rural King.
Okay.
I
So
believe
it's
it.
not part of this committee. It just happened to be in the letter.
Correct. It is all,
Okay.
it was, the entirety of the agreement was made between all entities, but we execute them separately. As the Redevelopment Commission is concerned with the parking lot, the UEA was concerned with the other aspects of the agreement.
Okay.
And they opened 2 weeks early, correct?
What's that, Brian?
I think they opened 2 weeks early, actually.
Yeah, they opened March 13th, and the agreement required them to open by March 31st.
Any other questions?
I'll make a motion to approve and execute Rural King reimbursement.
Second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Everything's good? All in favor to approve and execute Rural King reimbursement, state by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes. Thank you, Bert.
Thank you.
Approve and execute escrow release QSR LLC.
So I'll just stay up here because I
Might
think
as
the
well just
next.
stay up here.
Yeah, the next two items that you have on, unless Matt, were you planning on handling those?
No, you can.
Okay, so we have two other items that we brought before you. This is good news, as opposed to asking you to spend money, we're bringing money to the table. So we have some escrow funds that were part of the Starbucks real estate transaction that were not distributed at closing, so the Redevelopment Commission is entitled to those dollars. And then subsequently, the next item on the agenda is going to be an agreement that we had with Anytime Fitness, who was interested in a lot in Newport Landing and never followed through with that acquisition. So there are funds there that are also entitled, that the Redevelopment Commission is entitled to as well. So it's $10,000 on the QSR and $5,000 on the Anytime Fitness deal.
Hey, Bert.
Yes.
This is before my time as far as the QSR closing. And so I don't have any documentation on that, but this mutual release that they've provided that's in the packet says the money's going to QSR, not to the Redevelopment Commission. That's what it says.
Yeah, so I would be confused as to where the funds are coming from. So Matt, we may have to look into that and.
You might want to, looking through this, yeah. You can see it shows 10,000 QSR properties and 0 to the city redevelopment commission.
Matt, can you repeat that? I didn't hear it.
Yeah, it shows 10,000 to QSR and 0 to the redevelopment commission. So I want to make sure before anything gets passed, I just noticed that.
Yeah, then maybe I don't think there's a big rush, so we probably want to bring this back at the next meeting. I think the thought was those were escrowed funds. I can't recall why we would have had separate funds set aside for them, but I'm sure we can pull that through the planning office and determine exactly where those funds will go.
Yeah, I think
It actually does say it here. It says, in regard to the above referenced escrow, QSR Properties LLC, the buyer, and the City of LaPorte Redevelopment Commission, the seller, agree the funds held in escrow shall be dispersed as follows, and it's 10,000 to Kaplan, Kadapolis, and Gornis, the attorneys in Chicago, as the buyer, and 0 for the seller as beating us, LaPorte.
Yeah, you know what, I can't recall, Brian, I don't want to speak out of turn. We'll look it up and we'll figure out exactly where
Sure.
the funds are going. I am certain on the other deal, That-
Yeah, the other one for sure.
The other one, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
On this one, maybe we can look at the closing statement from the sale, and we'll see.
Yeah, we should be able to determine
Yeah,
exactly where
absolutely.
it's going.
So we probably shouldn't, or should we make
I
a
would-
mo-
I
leave
would-
this one alone,
Suggest that that one get put on hold,
tabled?
tabled until next month, and then the,
So, all right, we'll scratch the escrow release of QSR LLC. We'll table that.
table it, I would
Is that a,
suggest.
somebody make a motion to table?
I'll make a motion to table the approval and execution of the escrow release for QSR LLC.
Till we find out what it really says. I mean, that's before my time, too. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Any other discussion? All in favor of tabling, approving, and execute escrow release of QSR, state by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? It is tabled. Till you guys find out what it is.
Yep.
Matt couldn't let me get away with bringing money back to the table, so.
It may have just been filled out incorrectly.
It could have been, but
it's
it was
transposed
dated
over.
April 15th of 21, this last sheet,
Yeah.
I just don't want anything signed and approved that's not accurate.
and all of a sudden we get
Agreed,
sued.
yeah, absolutely agree.
Yeah, I just noticed it.
Okay, so let's go to item D, approve and execute escrow release Anytime Fitness. Now, that should be an easy one. That's what you just told us about. I believe it's 5,000, correct?
It is 5,000, yeah, and we had asked the title company to just hold on to the funds because it did, at one time, it did look like they were going to be able to move forward, and that just has never happened, so we need to, move on from
And
this.
that does definitely come to us.
Correct.
Okay.
It does.
I didn't see any paperwork or anything on this one.
That's the indemnity clause, the last page that you should have, yeah. It says LaPorte Plaza LLC was the buyer.
Oh, okay.
So what's,
Yeah, that's not in your, I didn't add the
I didn't realize
indemnity
that
to
was
the
supposed to-
packet, because I didn't, okay.
so what's being requested is that Meridian Title's been holding these funds since 2016. And we have previously requested that this Anytime Fitness agree to mutually release the funds to us because it was an option payment that they never moved forward with. And the Anytime Fitness just doesn't communicate with anybody. And so in order for Meridian to release the funds to the Redevelopment Commission, they're willing to do so without this gentleman's signing the release, but they want the Redevelopment Commission to agree to indemnify Meridian Title in case he later comes back and says, hey, where's my $5,000?
Right.
So that's, to the extent there's risk, that's the risk, as I view it, but it's been 5 years and he's non-communicative with anybody and obviously not intending on moving forward, so. So that's what this indemnity agreement is that's in front of you. It's a Meridian Title form agreement that they're asking we execute, or you execute.
Everybody all right with that? Need a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve and execute escrow release Anytime Fitness.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second, no more discussion. All in favor, state by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? We will sign and release it.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Bert.
Thanks, Bert.
Item E, demolition of 150 Pine Lake Avenue, better known as the Don George Building.
Yes, so I would like to request approval from the commission to proceed with obtaining bids to demolish the Don George property. The plans for the city are to sell it via public sale. Right now, it's in unsafe condition. We've had some small holes, which have become much larger holes, and now the inside of the structure is exposed. Fire department's concerned about the potential for a dangerous situation, so we need to demo the building. It is an emergency situation. I've obtained 2 verbal bids, roughly in the $50,000 range. We will also need to do an asbestos assessment of the building prior to doing the demolition, and that's about $2,500. So I'd like to request from the commission to be able to proceed with that and proceed with that work if I'm able to get it done prior to the next meeting. The funds would be repaid immediately upon the sale of the property. So those would be repaid to the redevelopment commission, both for the asbestos assessment and the demolition itself.
Any questions?
I'd love to see that building gone.
Yeah, it needs to go badly.
It's a great area for development too.
Do we know how much we're gonna sell the property for?
I'm in the process of getting 2 appraisals, so that's part of the public sale process, but I haven't got the numbers yet. One of the strategies with that building was we knew that the Spore site was under contract with 7-Eleven. We wanted to wait a little while to see what that comp was gonna end up being. And that came in at $18 a foot, so that site sold for $800,000. That was about an acre, a little over an acre. This site's about 3/4 of an acre, Nick? About 3/4 of an acre, so actually the assessment just doubled on it. So we do, and I think because of that comp. So I do believe we'll probably see, again, it depends on the process and who's bidding on it and how open that process, how many buyers we see, but I would say anywhere between 200 and 400,000 would be, I think, a conservative guess.
Plus the view compared to what
Plus-
7-Eleven doesn't have. We got
Yeah,
a view of the
ex-
lake, Lily Lake.
It's ideal. It's a very beautiful lake and a very important asset to the city. As part of that strategy, Nick and I talked about carving out an easement along the shoreline, so we do retain access to the shoreline if there is at any time down the road any kind of recreational access that's needed there, public kayak launch, that type of thing. So we don't want to just give away shoreline. So that may lower the price slightly, but I still think in that 200 to 400,000 range should be achievable. So we would be able to pay back all the expenses here on the demo and the asbestos removal.
Now, do we have to do anything as far as, is there a chance of any contamination on that site?
So there is environmental issues with the site. We've had a phase 1, a phase 2, there's been a few borings done. The seller would have to assume that responsibility, so we will not be cleaning the site up, we'll be selling it in its condition with all of the reporting and testing that we've done. Nick, I don't know if there's anything else to add, what you might think the remediation or what a buyer would have to pay to clean it up, but it does depend on what you do with the site and where you put a building, where you put parking lot, that type of thing.
Yeah, the amount of cleanup necessary is really gonna be dependent, like Tom said, on what goes on the site. Different uses have different levels of cleanup necessary, so certain commercial uses may be able to go on the site with very little additional work, whereas if a developer comes up with another concept, there may need to be some more excavation or other work done. Most of the issues are kind of concentrated in a specific area, kind of associated with that, auto mechanic type contamination you see. Again, we don't know what a developer really is going to want to do, so instead of going forward and doing all that work, it's better to provide them all the information and then understand that the value will reflect what they need to do to the site as well.
Yeah, I understand, yeah. I guess I was just more thinking about, the 50,000 coming back. I mean, there's with the site across the street, we thought there'd be some cash coming back, and with how much it costs to clean it up, there's a chance that, the 50,000 doesn't come back, wouldn't you say?
I don't think
Well,
Nick would know.
there's always a chance that the 50,000 wouldn't come back, yeah. I think that'd be a risk for the redevelopment commission. The thing is, redevelopment commission does have the funds now, I believe, checked with Courtney on that. So, it could be a little bit of a risk, but, kind of big picture, long-term, it's moving towards getting a property back on the tax rolls and probably in a way that's much better financially for the city than anything that's been there, since it was in operation. So, there's a little risk to the redevelopment involved in doing it this way, whether or not that 50 comes back, but overall, I think it kind of meets the intent of what you guys are trying to do.
Well, I'm good with that. I just didn't want it to sound like it's a no-brainer. Here's 50, we're gonna give it back.
Yeah, no, no.
Yeah.
No, completely understand and agree there's a certain level of risk with that. Making sure that 50 is earmarked and goes back into funds that the redevelopment commission can then do other projects with, so.
I don't think it'll be as big as the other side of the street was.
It's, no, it's.
It can't be.
It's not. So there, if I remember right, the testing indicated that, again, there's some issues associated with the former kind of auto
Service
mechanic
area.
operations.
The hydraulic lift.
Hydraulic lift.
Hydraulic
there
lift,
that they're
stuff like
concerned
that.
about, but it's not like the entire site is contaminated and is gonna have to be, tons of waste remediated from the site. I think a lot of it can be dealt, on the site itself.
In other words, it's a completely different ballgame than what was.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
And I can share this with the commission. The interest has been very good for not even having a sign up. There's been no marketing effort on that building, and I'm getting a lot of calls. I've actually shown it quite a few times to several different users, from retail to restaurant to one individual wanted to look at a corporate office site on that, like a private office area, private office building. So definitely interest in the property.
What's the preference for Laporte to put on that site?
I think we'd like to see, well, the Chessie Trail will be coming right across Pine Lake on the other side of Lily Lake. So we'd like to see something that would incorporate what we're doing with all of the trails and the connectivity, Clear Lake, Newport Landing, where it would involve recreation or being part of the natural resources part of the trail. So you'd ride your bike, you could maybe something like a family restaurant that would incorporate outdoor seating. That would be ideal, not necessarily a chain and not necessarily fast food, something a little bit more on the healthier end. I don't know, Nick, do you have any other
Yeah,
thoughts
I
on
think
that?
highest and best use of the site really plays into the fact that it's on one of our lakes. And it's also essentially in our downtown and connected to, one of the biggest redevelopment projects that the city's undertaken, in our downtown. So, I think there's a range of uses, but as Tom mentioned, I think a lot of people have kind of thought it as an ideal location for some type of restaurant or something like that. There's some access issues, so it's not gonna be a giant commercial district. There's limitations on, probably the amount of square foot and the traffic generated by that amount of square footage. But it is a really great opportunity for some good redevelopment in a kind of key location in the city.
So would we be able to, limit the, not having an office building there and?
Yeah, we can. So we can write the RFP in a manner that we're able to see plans. So we can say, this is part of the qualification in order to bid on this. We want to see a site plan that details where things are, what you're doing with, how is the shoreline going to look in relation to the restaurant or the building or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
We have to leave it open somewhat so that we get interest and get good solid offers, but we are able to qualify those through the review of site plans and different specifications we would put in the RFP.
We gotta tear it down first.
Yeah.
So let's do that first.
Yeah, and I do think the site's of more value. I mean, so just keep in mind that it's not the Spores site, it's not on the corner, it doesn't have the access that the Spores site had. But with the building down, that's the purchase price, and then they had to demo what's on that site. So
Yeah.
if we demo this, I think the property probably have a little bit higher value than if we tried to sell it as is and deal with the issues that are there with the building.
So I need a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the demolition of 150 Pine Lake.
I will second.
Motion in a second. Is that how you want it stated, up to
Yeah, the demolition and asbestos
asbestos
service.
removal, right? All in favor, state by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hold on, Tom, and you have other things, you have something else. to
Yeah,
talk
I wanted to bring up, I know that we had, through email exchange, talked about the possibility of a workshop, financial workshop, to go over the annual report that Baker and Tilly did. I talked with Courtney, and we will be, in late June, first part of July, we'll be actually budgeting for 2022. And Nick and I would actually, would like to sit down with everybody, go through, maybe that's the better time to have that workshop where all of us are together. We can go through what potential projects are for '22, create the budget together, or offer suggestions to you, so that in that fiscal year of 2022, you'll know exactly what's happening when we talk about projects, and all of us will be providing input on the direction that the TIFs go and the RDC funds go. So that was my thought. If that's acceptable to the group, we can schedule that.
I
That
think
might
that would be a good thing, that we will
Yeah,
Yeah,
and cover all of it.
cover all of it at one time.
yeah, that'd be
be
wonderful.
nice to be on the front side.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, instead of the rear end all the time.
Yeah, we'd all be more
No
effective.
pun intended on that.
So, thank you.
Okay.
And then, other business.
I was just gonna go to that.
Sarah Nimitz in our office has been working a lot with NIPSCO and identifying opportunities for tree plantings and everything throughout the city. And we've had this issue with Newport Landing that we've not been able to get solved. And that's the majority of trees in Newport Landing have died or are in the process of dying. A lot of this is really associated with the plantings, but not necessarily completely with the plantings. Some of it's the tree stock. It's just, it was kind of the perfect storm of not having success with our trees. We've previously worked with Reith Riley and their subcontractor Acorn. We've had a handful of trees replaced. Some of those didn't make it. It's just our landscape contractor was not what we had hoped. And they're sub to our general contractor on that one. Working with NIPSCO, a nursery that NIPSCO works with, Sarah was able to identify an opportunity to get those replaced at a really reasonable cost. So we would be removing 63 dead, diseased, dying trees. And then we'd be replacing with 46 trees. All the trees in there are past their warranty, even the ones that we've already replaced a second time. We didn't necessarily have the expertise through that whole period to make sure that the trees in there were successful. Sarah does have that ability, so there's a lot more confidence in us being able to maintain them. For this work, which again is removal of 63 trees and then replacement with 46 new trees that are in much better condition. They're larger caliper trees than we were using before, so they're gonna be established a little bit quicker than, we're getting rid of some trees that were starting to get a little bigger and then died, and these will be pretty good size. The total cost she had from, this is Dogwood Hills Tree Farm, is $20,469. And again, that's for removal of 63 trees, replacement with 46 trees. It's a very good cost. Dogwood, my understanding is Dogwood recently purchased another nursery, and they have overstock, and then in addition to, so their prices are a little low, they want to get rid of some trees, and in addition to that, because they are NIPSCO's contractor, we're getting a 10% discount on top of the already kind of reduced cost. So as far as trees are concerned, this is a really great deal for the city, and if the Redevelopment Commission would like to, I think this would be a great way for us to make sure that we're cleaning up and keeping Newport looking nice and kind of addressing the tree situation that's out there, which is not great. In addition, I would ask if you're comfortable approving the $20,469, the money's available. And I've reached out to Reith Riley that even though contractually they're not obligated to pay for any of this, I've reached out and asked if they'd be willing to help out financially, and they're kind of reviewing it and thinking about, you know, whether or not they'd be able to. At a minimum, I think we would maybe ask for them to pay for removals or something, just some amount to, you know, they're pretty committed to our community, but just make sure that they're continuing that commitment. So even though I would ask for the $20,469 to get these
Get it
trees
done.
replaced, if we can get some from Reith Riley, some funds from Reith Riley, that would go down a little bit.
And I might add, I do believe it's our responsibility as a redevelopment commission, it's our property to maintain. Now, after you called me, I went out and looked, and it is disgusting. It is absolutely, it's just a bunch of sticks in the ground, dead. And I wasn't even on the board then, and I don't even know who allowed that to happen. I mean, but you've been through the warranty, so there's not much else we can do. We have to clean it up and make it look good so we can do what we want to do there.
Yeah, and John, who was actually inspector on that, can attest that we've been
So there's the bad
arguing,
fault.
and no, we've been arguing and working with and fighting with and whatever we can do, carrot, stick, whatever is possible with the landscape contractor. We
To no
worked
avail.
for years, and it just, again, we got a few replaced and they still weren't the quality we're looking for. I'm learning a lot more about trees now that we have somebody
Sarah.
who's so close to being a certified arborist in our office, and in a lot of these projects, like Newport Landing, and I think Healthcare Foundation's having some issues with their trees, and there's others that private development has these issues too. Landscape contractors a lot of times just buy the cheapest trees they can find. We have the opportunity, instead of getting the cheapest trees possible, we have that kind of pricing, but actually get to select the right trees, healthy trees, and know where they're coming from. So it's kind of a good scenario for.
Sarah knows a lot.
She does,
I'll be
yeah.
very honest with you. She's very intelligent about trees.
What's the warranty on the new 46 trees?
So it's gonna be a year. We extended 2 years, and that didn't even work out for us. She's pretty confident that if any of the trees that she's been to the nursery and inspected the nursery and done all of that, any of the trees that are planted, they would die from kind of the shock of transplanting, and we would know within a year. And she'll be there to inspect the actual planting and make sure that everything is done properly. That warranty is only good if we take on the watering of the trees, which we have irrigation there, so we can take that on. But it is a 1-year warranty, and again, Sarah's very, very confident that in this case that'll be sufficient to make sure that the new stock is established and not going to go the same route of what we have.
What is the threshold to activate the warranty?
What's that? Sorry.
What's the threshold to activate the warranty? Like,
If the tree is diseased, dying, dead, whatever it may be.
He wants to know when it starts.
When
I
it
think.
starts,
When
from,
the warranty
it'll start
starts.
from when they plant until for a year after.
okay.
You said, who does the watering? You said we, but, I mean,
The city would do it,
city
yeah.
would do it.
So there's irrigation at each tree already.
They must have forgot how to turn them on, the old ones.
There was a time where our landscape contractor that we no longer use forgot how to use
How to
our
turn 'em on?
irrigation system.
It's pathetic.
What's the name of the vendor?
It is Dogwood Hills Tree Farm out of Middlebury.
Are they dogwood trees?
I think there are a couple. No dogwoods.
So I'll need a motion, if you would inclined to do so, to make this $20,469 to remove 63 dead sticks and add 46 beautiful trees to Newport Landing.
I'll make a motion to approve the invoice from Dogwood Farm.
Do I have a second?
Hills Tree Farm.
What did you call it? Dogwood Hills Tree Farm.
Without any dogwoods.
I'll second.
I got a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
Just like to make sure that somebody is gonna be going out and doing that watering, that it's on a schedule somehow, some way. Make
Yeah, yeah, so, Sarah will have a schedule, and we have, like I said, the irrigation is in place. In addition to that, our street department has a water tank, and as a backup, we can use, our wastewater department has some watering capability. So amongst those, she's kind of looking at making sure that that schedule is met.
And I can add, Sarah's extremely conscientious about any projects she works on, so I'm responsible for the landscaping maintenance there since I got here. We use Lakeshore Landscaping. They've done a fantastic job with, I don't know if you've noticed a difference from a year and a half ago. But Sarah will be there for opening day when we turn the sprinklers on to make sure every head is operable, and very, very thorough, and really enjoy working with her on.
Feel very secure with Sarah about the trees. I might also add, if we all will run out of places to water or get water from, I think we have a fire department's got water tankers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we could use them.
Yeah.
Instead of going to the grocery store, maybe.
Yeah, so the fire department has helped out with our tree farm in the past too. So our nursery, or we have a tree nursery, and when we needed some watering, they brought a tanker,
No, that's good.
opened it up, so.
Any other discussion? All in favor state by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? No opposition. There you go.
Thank you.
Any other business? Any other business to tend to? Amen.
Make a motion to adjourn?
Do I have a second?
I will second.
I have a motion and a second. Anybody have any other discussion about adjourning? No. We are adjourned.